Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line today, Carlos Watson. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, good to be back.
Anytime you come on here, that means OZY Fest is around the corner.
I am. I'm kind of like the ice cream truck.
Right.
You hear something coming, and hopefully something good is on its way. But yeah, OZY Fest is this weekend, 2 full days. I'm excited about it. Music, comedy, food, the whole thing.
How are you? Where are you doing it in California?
You know what we're going to do? It's streaming. So this is the first time. Normally, we do it in Central Park.
Right.
And later this fall, we're going to do it in Miami on South Beach. But
I'll
for
be
the
there.
first time ever. Oh, I like that. I like that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Remember you guys had to, and at least you don't have to worry about the weather virtually, because you had that one
you
year.
Remember that.
It was the hottest day of the century. It was like 120 degrees, and y'all wanted to do the OZY Fest.
Although, you know what? We had a couple hundred people come in from the Middle East, and they got mad because they were like, this is not hot. They're like, you here in New York are calling it 105 degrees, 110 degrees hot. They were like, this is a winter day. We still should have the festival. So
I did feel like it could have still happened. I did feel like that.
Yeah. There was a little part of me that wished that it had. But you know what? We're going to do it this weekend. And we got a whole terrific group of people coming, comedians like Tig Notaro, Condi Rice, Mark Cuban, Malcolm Gladwell. So it's a good mix of people.
My girl, 7th Streeter.
7th Streeter, she's terrific. You know what you guys do? I don't know if I've been able to say this to you guys before, but whenever I'm getting ready to do an interview, the first thing I do is see if they've ever done the Breakfast Club.
Wow.
You guys do such a good job with people. And the way I discovered it was with 7th Street. I saw you guys with her, and you guys were so good with her, and she was so relaxed. That was really, that was good to see.
She's like my friend in real life, so that's why I love it. I thought you were going to say you look to see if we interview them, and then you turn it down. Like, no, their standards are too low.
Their standards are too low.
You know what? No, because you guys have a good time with people for the most part. You guys have had a few spicy encounters, but for the most part, you guys have a good time with people.
Now, OZY Fest was canceled 2 years in a row?
Right. So one time it was the heat in 2019, and then 2020, of
Obviously,
course,
the pandemic.
you couldn't do anything with
Goodness
the pandemic.
gracious.
Couldn't do anything safe or smart. So this is the first time back. So I'm excited. It's our first time back in a couple of years, and I think it's going to be a good one. I mean, we've got a little bit of a dating show going on with Big Frida as the host. We got chefs like Marcus Samuelson and Tom Colicchio, so it's going to be a good time.
Man, I just was talking to Marcus Samuelson yesterday about his new restaurant that he's opening. I just think about how so many businesses have been impacted because he has the Marcus restaurant in Bermuda, right? But he said that's been shut down due to COVID. But then on the flip side, like some restaurants are thriving, and he is going to be able to open another location too. He was saying in the Bahamas.
I went to the only trip I took during this whole crazy time was to Miami, and his restaurant there was doing very well. And Miami treated this whole COVID time a little differently than everybody else did around the country. And he'll tell you that he was down there, and it was very lively. So I guess it's different in different places.
Carlos, you got vaccinated, right?
I did, thankfully. I got both shots, and it's been a little bit, it's been interesting to see because I've got family all over the country. And I think some people, I was surprised at how many people hesitated. I don't know if anybody in your life hesitated.
I hesitated. I just got the first one.
Oh, you did? So why did you hesitate?
Okay, so it was a few reasons, but because like I'm fairly healthy, right? Like I'm always juicing and doing things like that. And I haven't tested positive for COVID this whole time, but a lot of people around me have. I was out doing my birthday with Dave Chappelle in Austin, and during that time you get tested twice a day. You have to get tested before you go there. You pretty much stay in a bubble, but then once one person gets it, right, like everyone gets it. But for some reason I didn't get it then. And then a lot of my family members, had gotten it. I still didn't get it. And then a doctor had told me some people just won't get it. So then I was really thinking like, well, maybe I'm just one of those people. But it's all kinds of irrational thinking. And then I've never gotten even a flu shot before. right? Because I'm very into like juicing and trying to do things like naturally. And so I did hesitate. And then obviously like vaccines and the history of vaccines and black people, like all of those things kind of came into play. But then I just ended up feeling like, okay, I don't want to give it to somebody else. And then I don't also want to, you never know what can happen. Maybe I would get it and then get extremely sick. So I just made the decision that I was going to do it. And then I was glad I didn't get the Johnson & Johnson. I did Pfizer.
Right.
But yeah, so I tried to make sure I educated myself on which one I should get. And, you know, I still have to finish. And I'm a little nervous to get the second shot. How was the second shot for you?
You know, the second shot was fine, but that's funny that you said, even though I asked you why you hesitated, shame on me because everybody hesitated at least a little bit in their mind. But
Yeah.
for me, one of the women I worked with convinced me first to make sure I got it for my dad because I take care of my dad. He lives with me. He's 86, turns 87 this year. And I started to think the same way. Not only did I not want him to get it, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't bring it to him in any way. And so anyhow, I've been fine with them. I got a little bit tired for a while, but I'm good, and I'm ready for it to be summertime.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I didn't even have to wait. As soon as they said they could get it, I was like, you know, I just stood around the local pharmacies and I just waited for my shot.
No, you didn't. You really did that?
Yes, he
I
really
waited.
did.
I stayed around the
Evie was the first
pharmacies.
one in here to get vaccinated.
And then, you know, at the end of the day, if they have some, you know, some doses that they would go bad. So I waited by the pharmacy, and it was like, we have a dose. And I was like, yes. And then the first day, they were like, I'm sorry, a teacher's actually coming in. I was like, okay. Next day I went, they was like, oh, we have one for you today, sir. Dose, get me in.
And I'm not going to lie, I was also waiting to see what happened with other people after they took it. Like, I didn't want to be one of the first people.
Correct.
Just in case, like, you know, in case they had to pause something or they were like, oh, don't, you know. So that's why I really kind of also wanted to wait. But I see a lot of people I know have gotten it.
She was waiting to see if I got six
Yeah,
fingers
I was
or
waiting
six
to see
toes.
what happened
That's
to
she waiting
Envy.
for.
That's only because she loved you. But she wanted to say you first.
You first. But I wanted to ask, you know, with the Ozzy Fest canceling in 2 years, I'm sure you guys lost tons of money. What makes you say, you know what, we're going to try it for the third year? Why not be like, you know what, F this and washing my hands? Lord don't want me to have this damn festival. We done.
Yeah. You know what? It's that jersey behind you, right? Never give up, never surrender.
Right.
You know what? I've loved festivals. I think it comes a little bit, if I'm honest, from my parents. Both of them came from big families. They loved bringing people together. They would always, not just family, but friends. In Miami, the weather was good. We do all kinds of things. And so I would miss it, honestly, Envy, if we didn't do it. And a few years ago, I was in LA. A woman came up to me. She said she met her fiance at the first Ozzy Fest.
Oh, wow.
And so I kind of like that idea that maybe people will meet people they were never going to come across. And I still remember, you know, sometimes they call Ozzy Fest Ted Meets Coachella because you'll have really interesting conversations with a Malcolm Gladwell, a Mark Cuban, Kamala Harris, Nikki Haley, but you'll also get great music, comedy, food. And what I like about it is people are always surprised. They may think they're coming to hear 7th Streeter or someone else and then realize, oh, I didn't know about this author, or I never thought I'd be interested in this chef. And so I like that idea of getting people out of their bubble, making them see the world a little bit differently.
Gotcha.
And I think there's something magical to it.
Now, we got to ask you, last time you were up here, you were with A-Rod. How's he doing?
You know what? I think he's doing all right. I saw him when I went to Miami. I actually saw him. I was with him in Miami, and you know, I was sad to see that. Like everybody, I liked them. I liked them both, and I was sad to see that. If I'm honest, I was sad. I was sad to see that. I really, they're good people, and I didn't believe it at first.
Are guys good at like expressing, like, are y'all good at expressing to each other how you feel? Like, I'm going through something right now.
She wants to know if he cried on your shoulder. Did he cry to you?
See, if you're too young to remember Sanford and Son, but they had a good thing on Sanford and Son where they had these two cops who would come up, a white cop and a black cop, and then the white cop would say something to Fred Sanford that the black cop would translate. So you just did the
Yeah.
you just did the gender
the good cop, bad
translation. Yeah, you just did the gender translation thing. You know, obviously I wouldn't speak on it, but what I will say is that I find Alex to be an incredibly thoughtful evolved person. And I think that as challenging as what he went through in baseball was, because he loved baseball, and it was his ticket to a very different life, and then to have some of the challenges he had in and around steroids and teams and the whole thing, I just have a lot of respect for how he ultimately handled that, came to grips with it, was open about it, and then look what he's doing right now with the Timberwolves and the basketball team. So,
well, just let him know that you met somebody that got engaged, that met their future wife or husband at OZY Fest, and you never know who he'll meet at OZY Fest.
And Big Frida has the dating game.
That's right.
And Big Frida has a dating game. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll invite both of them to it, and who knows? People may reconnect. There's that song.
There you go.
So
how does
you never know what could happen.
How is that dating game going to work? I'm just curious. Like with Big Frida.
Hey, you know what? People have to put their name in, and Big Frida is gonna be better than Patty Stanger. She's gonna be fun. So she's gonna choose, I think, 8 people, and match them up for these kind of quick dates, and we'll see if something real comes of it, and then we're gonna follow them during the summer and see if something blossoms. You know who else is at OZY Fest? His first time here. And I think he's going to be really good as Matt James, The Bachelor.
Envy might be coming now. Envy loves Matt James, and he loves The Bachelor.
I don't love Matt James. I do watch The Bachelor. Like, don't do that. But
you do.
What?
You do love Matt.
But you said Matt James is back with his girl, so he's not gonna be doing the dating show.
No, but he's gonna be there for the first time. He's saying that's all. He's not doing the dating game.
You gotta talk. You gotta interview him. You gotta talk to him. You gotta ask him about. You gotta talk to him.
So now I didn't watch that whole season. If I'm honest, I don't really watch The Bachelor. But you know what? I appreciated. He surprised me a little bit. We had a little bit of a pre-conversation, and he said some of the most interesting things I've heard anyone say, Envy, about Bitcoin and crypto. He made me think about it completely differently, and that was not what I was expecting to talk to him about.
So he's a finance guy. He's very smart, very intellectual. Just the woman he picked is she was on the fence with some of the remarks and terms that she used and said.
Some racial things,
Yeah,
man.
some racial things.
Racist
So
things.
I would love to hear how he bounced back from that, because he is a brother. But I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of good folks here. You know who else I hadn't heard from in a long time? Who I'm excited to hear from is Condi Rice. I think she's going to be interesting, especially, I don't know if you guys have been following the whole Liz Cheney thing on Capitol Hill, where she was calling out her fellow Republicans, and they treated her to an exit. And so I'm interested to hear what Condi Rice has to say about all that.
You know, we had a debate about Liz Cheney up here, right? So, I was saying I do commend her for speaking out now, but Charlamagne was saying, well, she's the person that created that environment, and then he sent us all this article from The Atlantic. I want to know what you think about Liz Cheney speaking out now. Is it too late, and do you feel like, there's some underlying motive?
You know, I don't ever think it's too late. I appreciate what he's saying, but I don't ever think it's too late. And I do have an appreciation for how fragile democracy can be. And you think about what happened. It wasn't even that long ago. It feels like a long time ago, but January 6th wasn't that long ago. And a little more time one way or another, like, Angela, even crazier stuff could have happened, right? Did you see that thing when Mitt Romney was running away from them and came that close?
They had to scurry him out of there and get him out.
AOC, you heard her thinking what could have happened to her. I was talking to Keem Jeffries. He was like, Carlos, I didn't really know what was going to happen.
That's my senator.
So, I'm glad she spoke up. I think it's important that she spoke up. It's interesting to me. I'll be curious as to where she goes from here. I'm probably not as suspicious as Charlamagne is about it, because I assume he's saying that she's thinking about running for president. Is that why he said it?
I know. I just think he thinks that all the things that she's done in the past is too late, and it's her fault that she's part of that system of Republicans.
Right. You know what? I think there's going to be a total makeover on the Republican Party, and I think that their nominee in 2024 is going to be someone whose name we don't even think about today. In the same way that Obama, for some people, seemed to come out of nowhere very quickly from 2004 just getting elected to 2008 being the nominee and then the president. I think the same thing's going to happen there.
You know, Republicans are usually so united, so it's interesting to see the division now, right? And they're talking about breaking off and doing a whole nother party.
Interesting. Well, Biden, you think he's going to be healthy enough? Will you believe in Biden at 82 to vote for him for re-election?
Let's give it another year, see where we are, and ask
Absolutely.
me that again. You know, let's just see how this progresses. But how do you think he's doing so far?
You know what? I think it's nice to see somebody who feels in the groove, who may have waited a long time for that spot. You've seen that happen with people before. You've seen that happen with actors. Sometimes you see that happen with football coaches. And he feels like that. He feels like somebody who was not first choice, who was kind of watching, wanted it in 1988, didn't get it, fell back, tried it again in 2008, got summarily dismissed. Obama put him on his ticket, didn't run in 2016. And so I think he's making the most of it. I think he's competing, Angela, like somebody who's like, you know what, I have nothing to lose.
Right.
And that's kind of I've seen that happen in sports a lot. There was a quarterback back in the day named Rich Gannon who played for the Oakland Raiders, and he got bounced around so much. And when he finally got his shot, MVP of the NFL, took them to the Super Bowl, was terrific.
All right. That shows you never give up, too, right? That's another moral of the story, because it did not look like he was going to even be our nominee. And then, bang, he won.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you feel like he's doing?
Look, I think people are very critical and people want change really quickly, right? And understandably so, because we've had so many issues for so long. But I also feel like the whole process can sometimes be something that's difficult to understand. And when I read Obama's latest memoir, it made me realize how difficult it is to get anything done, you know, in government. So I feel like there has been some positive things. I feel like there's a lot more that has to get done. I think the problem is that when Donald Trump was in office, he made so many things happen that he did not follow the rules, right? And I do feel like Biden is definitely like one of those people that follows the rules, and also is a lot more conservative than we would like. You know, obviously we want a lot more radical changes, and but it's a process. But I do like some things that he's done, but I feel like we need, you know.
That's very interesting. You're saying Trump shook things up so much that having someone who's kind of slow and stable and stays in the lines almost feels a little weird.
Yeah, because you feel like Trump, if he wanted something, he just did it. He didn't care if it was legal, illegal. He just went for it, right? And then Biden's like, well, we can't do it like this because it has to go through this process first, and then the House has to do. And we're like, yo, just make it happen. Like, Donald Trump is making everything happen for the Republicans.
Right. Let's see if he listens. That's going to be interesting. But that's not him. I don't think he'll do that.
Right. Well, we'll see. But I am looking forward to OZY Fest, and I always thank you for coming up here.
Absolutely.
I enjoy watching you and seeing all of your breaking interviews as well. So we'll make sure we continue to do that and do some more things together, Carlos.
Yeah. Hey, thank you both so much for having me. I really appreciate you, and I hope everybody joins us at OZY Fest this weekend. Come have some fun. Saturday and Sunday, 5 to 9 Eastern. You can do it from the comfort of your couch. We're streaming it. You can do it at home.
I want to ask you, one last thing. I meant to ask you this earlier. Yeah. Have you ever had an interview, somebody who you really didn't like?
I did.
Personally didn't like.
I didn't like personally. You know, I don't know that it's ever someone that I don't like personally, but I definitely had someone who, I don't even know the right way to put this. You know, the comedian Ida Rodriguez, I like her. So
I love
I'm not
Ida.
talking about her. But she taught me something, because I was asking her about someone, and she reminded me, she said, hurt people hurt people. And even though I'd heard it before, when she said it in that moment, it really made me pause and maybe be a little bit more thoughtful. So I had a woman who was a Senate candidate from Georgia on the Republican side last run, and I just felt like she was just saying, I felt like she wasn't in a good space. And
Is
so
her last name King? but not really.
Might have been. So that was the first time I've ever ended an interview early. That was the first time where I just said, I feel like if I go all the way here, I'll actually be doing a disservice to people who are watching.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was just glad that you weren't going to say it was Ida who you didn't like. I was like, that's my homegirl. No. She was on my Mastery of Comedy. When I said, have you ever interviewed somebody? You said, you know Ida? I was like, oh, man. Yeah. What did Ida do?
I think if the world is ever fair, she ends up being one of the biggest TV stars there is.
Man, I hope so, because that is my girl. Yeah. She actually was just in New York with me working on her material. I went to go see her perform. That was my first time in a comedy club during this whole pandemic, was going to see Ida.
She'll be at Ozzy Fest this weekend. She's helping us co-host Ozzy Fest.
Yay! Okay, well, I appreciate you so much, Carlos.
All right, thank you, Carlos.
Thank you both. Be well.
All righty now.
Okay, see you soon.
Carlos Watson, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.